Um, this is the code to the virtual walkthrough museum. I started by importing the necessary libraries to work on the project. The first library allows me to access all of the Three.js models. The second library gives me the liberty to control the scene using the mouse. The third library gives me the ability to load the models with .gltf extensions. First, I started with the declaring the variables here, and that goes from line 18 down to 49 here. And inside the init function is where everything about the scene is being created, everything completely. So here, I created the scene here, translated it because I want the scene to be positioned in a particular axis, so I had to use translate here. It has this color background and the fog. When you zoom out, you actually see the feel of that fog cast around the fog effect cast around the building, the museum. And this is hemilight. It's a hemisphere light that comes with Three.js. And it's a light source that is positioned directly above the scene with color fading from the sky color to the ground color. So I used hemilight here. And this is where I created all my texture. This is the texture for the wall. The exterior texture for the wall is different from the interior texture of the wall. This is where I created the ceiling, and this is the floor. And I set the texture wrap modes right here to make sure it doesn't look stretched out. And here is where I created the textures for the images. I practically texture the images on top of the plane geometries that I created to be able to hold like a stand for all the pictures. Then here is where I created the floor right here using the plane geometry, using the mesh from material, and passing this texture here into as a parameter into the material. And this is where I created the ceiling and all the pictures. This is where I created them and passing the appropriate textures as well. And as for the building, the exterior part of the building, the left wall, the right wall, the back wall, this is the left wall here, the back wall using cube geometry and translating as well, rotating them to make sure they're properly aligned, changing their positions into different places. And this is for the interior. Position was very paramount here because I wouldn't want it to interfere with another structure, another building, so another wall, so I had to properly align them here using translation, rotating them on their different axes. So this is the interior wall here, interior walls. And here at the front wall, I wanted a see-through wall, so I had to reduce the opacity for that to set the transparency to true. And to the same translate in rotation as well. This is the section where I loaded all the models that I downloaded from sketchfab.com, and I have a robot model, I have the door, a book, a stool, ink, and quill as well. And for this robot, which is the highlight of my project of the museum, is where I got this. So, before I move further, some of these images were excessively ginormous, and I had to scale them down first to be able to position them inside the museum. And this is for these I didn't have to scale it because it was something I got from Three.js, and it has a proper size, an adequate size for as a human. So this is like my humanoid basically. And I had to cast a shadow to it, and this is where the animation was set. This part of the code, the animation, the movement, the motions, wasn't fully my code. I had to tweak it to do what I wanted to do. I got it from Three.js. So, yeah. And this is where I set the render. the camera, using the perspective camera in the position I set for it. This is the control. I mentioned this library before, the object control, which gives me the ability to be able to hover over the scene, move through the scene, check objects and things like that. And this functions handle the action for the humanoid, to modify the time scale for the humanoid, to actually set the start and action, the duration for the humanoid. And here is where I set the window coordinates for the scene. And this is a function that actually allows me to use my key controls to set off animation in this project. So here I have the keys like move forward, step backwards, turn right, turn left, look up, look down, different lights, light sources, and this I also have the lights set around the robot where it's change colors. You can change the colors of the lights around the robot, and the hierarchy as well, the interactions with that. The keys are also embedded here. I use the spotlight for the light around the stool and all the models that are on top of the stool. So this is practically everything for the walkthrough using Three.js. It's about 709 lines of code, and I used just one file for creating this. And in the next video, I will take you through the walkthrough of the virtual museum itself.